Finding love later in life, it's such a beautiful, hopeful thing, isn't it? But as many of you know, it can come with these hidden complexities, these tripwires that can feel pretty overwhelming. So today, we're going to unpack all of that. We're going to make the invisible visible and give you a really clear, structured path forward. Okay, let's dive in.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of the whole thing. You see, this is so much more than just two people falling in love. It's really about two fully formed worlds, each with its own history, its own vibe, its own expectations, and suddenly they have to find a way to coexist. Those invisible, pre-existing loyalty agreements? That's the deep, unspoken bond your adult kids have with their original family, and often with their other parent, whether they're still with us or not. And the inheritance expectations? Look, this isn't just about greed. It's about legacy, it's about security, and it's about that tangible connection to the family's past and future. This is the delicate tightrope that so many new couples find themselves on, and it's right here that the real challenges often kick off.
And, trying to walk that tightrope without a safety net? Well, that can lead to what we're calling a silent family crisis. It's silent because the root of the problem isn't usually loud fights between the new couple. It's this hidden tension, just simmering below the surface, usually out in the wider family circle. It's a crisis of loyalty, love, and money. And it can be a huge threat to your happiness if you don't see it for what it is and tackle it head on.
And here's the first thing that might surprise you. When things get tough, it's so easy to think the problem is inside the new relationship itself. But so often the biggest threat is actually coming from the outside, from your adult children. Now, their resistance or their anxiety, it's not usually a personal attack on your new partner. It's almost always rooted in something much, much deeper. A really powerful and very human fear about their own financial future and about their place in a family story that's suddenly changing. It's these invisible fears that we have to bring into the light so we can deal with them with compassion and, most importantly, with clarity.
Okay, so if we're going to find a real solution, we have to start by understanding the core conflict from their point of view. You've got this collision of three massive forces: their love for you, their loyalty to their original family, and this deep-seated worry about their legacy. This is not a simple case of them not liking your new partner. It's a super complex emotional and financial maze that they're trying to find their way through. And honestly, they often feel totally lost, like they don't have a map. So let's break down what's really going on inside their heads.
So look at these two powerful forces, side by side. It is so important to get this. On one side, you have emotional loyalty. This is a profound sense of duty to the original parent. It's a loyalty to a whole shared history, to childhood memories, to the family they grew up in. A new spouse, no matter how wonderful, can feel like a threat to that sacred history. Then, on the other side, you've got financial anxiety. And we have to validate this. It is a legitimate fear. They see their parents' assets, which, let's be honest, they've always seen as part of their future inheritance, and now they worry it's all going to be shared or even drained away. The absolute key here is that these two things are tangled up together, but all the emotional attachment in the world can't just magically erase that very real financial anxiety.
And this is exactly why the whole situation gets so difficult and so emotionally charged. Let's walk through it. First, that fear of a depleted legacy, it's front and center. It's the worry that a lifetime of family savings might just get redirected. Then you've got that conflicting loyalty. An adult kid might feel like if they get too close to a new step-parent, they're somehow betraying their other biological parent, and that can create a ton of guilt. And that leads right to resistance to a new family dynamic. I mean, they didn't choose this new person, right? So they might push back against any attempts to create some new, blended family identity. It all comes back to that core tension, your emotional attachment to your new partner clashing with their very real financial anxiety. Without some kind of structure to solve this, the new relationship can quickly turn into a battleground.
So with all that tension, what's the path forward? How do you navigate this and actually find some peace? Well, this brings us to the single most powerful lesson for any blended family in this spot. It's a principle that might sound a little, unromantic at first, but I promise you it is the most loving and effective approach you can possibly take.
Clarity trumps affection. Just let that sink in for a second. Now, this does not mean affection isn't vital. Of course it is. But in this specific, high-stakes situation, affection alone is not enough to fix those deep-seated fears we've been talking about. You just can't love your way through a financial anxiety problem or a loyalty conflict. Trying to force a happy, affectionate family dynamic without first setting up clear, transparent rules, well, it's like building a house on a shaky foundation. The structure has to come first. Clarity is the bedrock. It's the solid ground that actually allows genuine, unforced affection to grow safely over time.
And this is where we get to the idea of the unspoken rules. Now, the name is a little ironic because the whole point is that they absolutely must be spoken. They have to be made explicit, they have to be clear, and they have to be understood by everyone. These are not just casual agreements or hopeful wishes. We're talking about a set of formal, transparent boundaries that cover both money and behavior. And their purpose is twofold. First, to protect your new marriage from all those powerful external pressures. And just as important, to protect your existing precious bonds with your children.
Okay, so what do these rules actually look like in the real world? The framework is actually pretty simple. It's built on two core pillars. These two rules, when you put them together, create the stability that everybody needs to feel safe, to feel seen, and to feel respected. They go straight for the two biggest sources of conflict: money and relationships.
All right, here they are, the financial wall and the affection protocol. I want you to think of them as the two essential pillars of your new family structure. The financial wall, that's all about tangible security and legal clarity. The affection protocol is about emotional safety and behavioral boundaries. One protects the legacy, the other protects the relationships. Together, they create a full framework that allows your new marriage to really thrive without ever threatening your existing family. Let's break each one down.
First up, the financial wall. This is the structural, legal side of the solution. It means using formal legal instruments. We're talking things like trusts, prenuptial agreements, other estate planning tools, to build a clear and impenetrable wall between any pre-existing assets and the new marriage. The whole purpose is to formally separate those assets and explicitly guarantee each child's legacy. What this does, and this is so crucial, is it takes money completely off the table. It removes it from the emotional equation. When your kids know, for a legal fact, that their inheritance is secure, the main source of their financial anxiety can just dissolve. It's no longer a matter of trust or hope, it becomes a matter of legal certainty.
Okay, rule number 2 is the affection protocol. This is the behavioral side, the part that's focused on the relationships themselves. With the money issue settled, now we can deal with the relationship dynamics. The protocol is simple, but it takes real discipline. The new spouse needs to adopt a lateral, supportive role. Think of it as being a friendly ally to your partner's children, not a new parent. This means never, ever forcing intimacy or trying to assert parental authority. You're not their mom or dad, and respecting that is everything. The protocol also says that you have to let the adult children set the terms and the pace of the relationship. If they're a little distant, you respect that. If they're warm, you accept it gratefully. This takes all the pressure off and allows a natural, unforced relationship to develop over time, on their terms.
So how do you actually put this into practice? Let's get concrete. First, you get in touch with legal and financial professionals to establish that spousal financial wall. This is the non-negotiable first step. It's the foundation for everything else. Second, the new spouse has to consciously and consistently practice that lateral step-parent role. This takes humility, it takes patience, and a deep respect for the family's history. And third, and this one is so important, the biological parent has to maintain separate, unmediated time with their kids. This just reinforces that their primary bond is unchanged and totally secure. It gives them the space to just be a family in the way they've always been, and it protects that core relationship from any perceived threat.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. All this talk about legal instruments and behavioral protocols, it can sound so clinical, right? It might feel like it's sucking all the romance out of the relationship. But I really want to reframe that for you. This whole process of setting clear, formal boundaries, it isn't a cynical act. It is, in fact, a profound act of love and wisdom. It's about loving everyone involved, your new partner and your children, enough to protect them and your relationships from completely predictable conflict down the road.
This quote just captures the philosophy perfectly. The goal here isn't to create some picture-perfect, blended family overnight where everyone just adores each other. Honestly, that's a Hollywood fantasy, and it puts way too much pressure on everybody. The real measure of success is peace, a calm, stable environment where everyone feels respected, secure, and understood. And that peace, it's only possible through clarity. By setting clear rules, you get rid of the ambiguity and the fear where conflict loves to grow. You are choosing sustainable peace over the illusion of forced love. And this is exactly why this kind of proactive planning is so essential. I want you to think of it as the ultimate act of self-care for your new marriage. You're basically building a fortress around your relationship, shielding it from those huge pressures of legacy fights and loyalty conflicts. And at the exact same time, you're offering the ultimate act of protection for your family. You're telling your children, with actions, not just words, I love you, I respect you, and your legacy is safe. That is what truly secures their lasting emotional support for your new chapter in life.
So as we start to wrap up here, I want to distill all of this down into one final clear takeaway. We've walked through the problem, that silent crisis of loyalty and legacy, and we've laid out the solution, the two unspoken rules that absolutely must be spoken. Let's just look at this path to peace one last time.
So the distilled lesson is this. The unspoken rules are not just suggestions. They have to be formal, and when it comes to money, they have to be legal. Their whole purpose is to protect the autonomy of your adult children, their emotional space, and their right to define their relationships on their own terms. And above all, these rules have to concretely and legally safeguard the children's legacy. When you do these three things, you neutralize the core conflict before it ever gets a chance to damage your most important relationships.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What is one small step you can take today to start building your financial wall or to define your affection protocol? Maybe it's just researching a family law attorney in your area. Or maybe it's having a quiet, thoughtful conversation with your partner about that lateral step-parent role. It could even be just writing down your own thoughts to get some clarity for yourself. As we close, let's just hold on to what we've learned. For a blended family to truly succeed after 60, it absolutely requires transparent boundaries, especially around money and affection. The most helpful insight is to build your approach on those two pillars: the financial wall, using legal tools to get rid of financial anxiety, and the affection protocol, which allows a new spouse to take that supportive, lateral role, taking social pressure off the adult kids. Ultimately, this isn't about a lack of trust. It's about an abundance of wisdom. This disciplined love, this commitment to legal and emotional clarity, that's the real key to a stable, peaceful, and joyful second marriage. Taking these steps is the most loving thing you can do for everyone involved, and it paves the way for calm confidence and real hope for the future. Thanks so much for joining me.